I do it because I believe in humans. I believe that we can do culture differently. And regional burns and Otherworld and Burning Man specifically are real life containers where we get to live out these philosophies in real life that we often just get to hypothesize about. So that is really important to me.
Burning Man Live.
Hey, everybody. It is Burning Man Live. Once again, I am Stuart Banger. And today I am talking to two friends. I've got Jax, Creatrix, and Zephyr on the line.
So we're actually from Victoria and Vancouver Island specifically.
I was going to go straight to geography for my first question, Zephyr.
All right. Well, so where Vancouver is, most people know, just up above Seattle, head over the border. And Vancouver Island's that long island that's right across from Vancouver and just above Seattle and the Anacortes Islands there. And yeah, we are right in the middle, basically, of that long island.
So it is Vancouver Island, and the main city on Vancouver Island is Victoria. Just saying, Vancouver Island actually has a bigger population than Vancouver City, doesn't it?
It's huge. Yeah, Vancouver Island is so big that we're considering if we need regional contacts for the Northern Island.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about the vibe, about the terroir. Every Burning Man regional event, wherever it is in the world, is going to be influenced by the setting. And so how is your regional event, Otherworld, different to, similar from other events in other parts of the world, even from something over on the mainland of British Columbia?
Well, our event is still on the southern side of the island, but we have huge populations from Victoria, which is kind of like the urban center. We also have huge populations of people from the Gulf Islands. And then we have a whole other community that's from the Northern Island. And so Otherworld is the opportunity when people from all of the island get to come together. And there's actually a huge pull of people from the mainland, from Vancouver, who come over for Otherworld as well.
Yeah, we have a lot of little artist communities that are on these little islands that, make a living building craft and selling things over the mail and that sort of thing. And a lot of those artists ends up coming. It's great.
So the vibe there seems to be perhaps a little bit more, can I say hippie, than other parts of the area?
Even where I live, if I wear rainbow-colored pants and a Burning Man shirt or something like that, and gumboots to the store, the old lady next to me is wearing rainbow pants and gumboots to the store as well. And she, and she's like, "Hey, you're looking good. You look comfy today." And so it's great to be able to wear whatever I want, the same stuff that I wear even at Burning Man. Throw on a costume shirt or whatever going, and it's kind of that hippie vibe here. And a lot of the culture is looking for that. So, yeah.
I've seen pictures of the venue. It looks fabulous. It looks lush. I'm so used to having my burn in an arid desert. Tell me about the place where this takes place.
We're on the traditional lands of the Suba-Athiks and Cowichan tribes, the Didi-Dot Nation as well, with Cowichan Lake. So it's a very forested area, very large. Even the venue, it's got some stages, but then there's a whole area that's just camping and forest where you can wander through and kind of have adventures. And the landowner has been gracious to allow us to kind of develop the land and build little trails and put our lights up and change the vibe and the theme of the land to also kind of give it that hippie aesthetic. And the landowners kind of starting to get into it. The more that they work with us, the more that they realize, hey, this is working for us. And we help them build campsites and we help them clean up the land and do a lot of leave no trace before their events and after their other events to really help them out. Yeah, so it's a great place.
And this has been going on for quite a few years, back to 2009 or so. Has it always been in the same place?
No, it used to be at a little tiny place, which is a much more sensitive land place to be. And then for a long time, it was at a small campsite called Sunny Days. But our event just outgrew those venues. And so now we're currently at Laketown Ranch, which is the biggest capacity venue on the island. We face some unique challenges in that we're trying to camp 3,200 people for 4 days. which is a big demand on our little tiny island. So we're at a place where this venue is probably the biggest one that can host us.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions about that. First, the growth pattern. I mean, for years, this was a couple of hundred friends. Now you've got enormous demand for it. You can camp 3,200 people. Even that sounds like that was probably a stretch logistically. I know that there are no bridges to the island. Everything has to get there by boat or by airplane, right? So tell me about that growth pattern, because events around the world, face this. I'm wondering what that was like for you guys, for Otherworld.
Post COVID, it really hit. People started to want to have that event that's more closer to home, and the regionals started to become a lot more important. We noticed, especially around other places in Canada, as well as, we'll say some political things have occurred since then, which have also kept people a little bit closer to home. And so we've had a lot more folks saying, hey, we can't make it to the Big Burn. We really, really want to, but we still want to have that experience. And we've heard that you provide that experience. So it's been really great for us to, yeah, to provide that and see that growth. But also the biggest challenge for us is the venue size. That venue can actually handle 10,000 people. When they have other people, it can handle more, but we don't want to make the venue seem crowded. We don't want to put people in sardine cans back to back. We really want to have the venue open and give it that experience like you are wandering through a forest in the middle of the night and coming across and stumbling across adventures and side quests and things like that. We have about 3 times the demand of what we have set as our capacity, and it's a bit of a challenge because there's a lot of folks that are anxious to get in, and we have to start looking at different ways to allow folks to have that fair chance to be part of our community.
And do you make provision for your core contributors? Do they have some other way to make sure that you have that certain percentage of people who are bringing the camps and the art and all that? Do you have separate ticket tracks for them?
Yeah, yes, we do. And all those ticket tracks were exceedingly overwhelmed this year, each one of them. And so it became a problem of, what do we do and how do we carve it up into our total capacity? Where before we had only so many people applying for subsidy and only so many people applying for camps. And so there was always that wiggle room. The wiggle room has kind of gone away now. But our core contributors, such as our production team, the team that fill the vital roles, gate parking, those sort of things, those folks do have a chance to get their tickets and be part of the event. And then, of course, we also have our we are an art event, and we do give art grants. So art is important. And of course, we can't give you an art grant without providing you a space and a ticket to come to our event and provide that as well. But it's a juggling act right now for us. Do we make this event bigger, or do we start to spawn off sister events and start to have more events in the year to be able to provide a fair chance for everybody to show their art and to participate?
This is the first year our demand is so high that our production team has decided not to do general sale tickets for the first time, which is radical. Participants need to have art. They need to be a part of a theme camp. You got to be volunteering to do it. And then now our event is solely directed tickets.
So how do you create porosity into the system? How do you create opportunities for people to come for the first time and to take up one of those roles?
Well, that was one of the biggest challenges that we came across this year is planning for obviously next year because our systems are overwhelmed at this point. It was difficult to choose between the people that have already applied. What do we do? This is one of those, it was better next year, and to start to look into how we can create a little bit more equality in that structure. Currently, I think that we could do better there. But like I said, we were overwhelmed with the amount of people that wanted to participate, and we still are. There's still people making daily Facebook posts wanting, hey, I can do this. I'm a carpenter. I can do that. Please let me into your event. And it's difficult at this moment because we have to say, at this time we're full, but we're looking into what we can do better next year to make this more equal for everyone.
Sideburn, which is Ontario's regional burn, they're all lottery based, which adds more complexity. I mean, it seems fair, but then I think that adds a whole other level of challenges to navigate. So I think part of the incentive for new people is to asking them to volunteer for production roles. So that's like front gate, we need greeters, we need parking, so on and so forth. Just to make sure that you don't have to like know somebody in a theme camp. Like it doesn't become like a you know somebody situation. And then currently we're just relying on our volunteer leads to do their best to manage spreadsheets with thousands of extra applications than they can hold. So it's challenging, but I really believe in our team. So that's happening as we speak.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess a plus side is that you have fewer acculturation challenges for noobs. If you have
Well,
people coming back,
truly,
or if you
yeah.
have people bringing their friends in, right? Is always
Yeah.
the
And that was the
personal
issue of like
sponsorship.
constantly growing is like we run into this issue of acculturation. If we just keep increasing the space, then are we like losing some of that culture that I think is an important part of the burns, which are very different from festivals? So capping this growth, which is at the same level that we were last year, kind of allows us to keep this very full space with over 10 sound stages. It's a huge event, but that way we also address some of these issues about acculturation.
Yeah, and we do get those people that go, "Hey, I hear you have 10 sound stages. Where's the dubstep playing?" They start to get the rest of the folks doing the snarkery on them, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. So are those stages all volunteer run? Are they run by like camps, or are they part of core infrastructure?
No, production doesn't run theme camps or sound camps. They're all participant, volunteer driven.
So this sounds like it's organized very much along the lines of Black Rock City. I'm wondering if there's anything that didn't work for you from Black Rock City that you've modified or changed or improved on?
Yeah, that's a bit of a tough one. We've increased and built our own software for volunteer scheduling. We just couldn't find anything out there that just needed specifically what Burning Man does and kind of the veracity of schedules around different teams and stuff like that. So one of our things that we did is we looked into building our own software tools for mapping, for scheduling and stuff like that. We thought that that was very important, and we started sharing it with the rest of the regional communities because we thought it was important to keep that open source as well.
Didn't we build our ticketing platform this year too?
We built most of the ticketing platform as well. Yeah.
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 Well,
Because
hats off.
yeah,
Yeah, at the scale of the Black Rock City event, we've been able to get a lot of, custom work out of our ticket vendors, but we've been through a few, It's taken us a while to settle on where we are. Let's back out a little bit. I want to know, how did you get into this crazy thing, Jax? What was your introduction to the Burning Man world, and what got you to where you are now?
My flow arts community. So playing with my hula hoops and stuff. And then also just being in the rave community generally. I started playing with fire hula hoops, which is super fun. And then all of my friends were going to this thing called Otherworld. What is that? And so we ended up going. In my first year, I actually performed in the effigy show, which was all kinds of exhilarating and overwhelming. And I remember a distinct moment of acculturation for me was when the effigy was burning. I thought this was like a very sacred, serious, the effigy's burning. And then somewhere in the distance, someone started playing, "It's getting hot in here, so hot." And like it totally changed the vibe. And I was like, this isn't serious at all. And it's like, welcome to Burning Man. And then we just kept going, right? And it was really fun. And I made the decision to go to Black Rock City in 2019, which was crazy. A girlfriend of mine, we were co-leads for the effigy because during the pandemic, we spent a lot of time doing outdoor fire jams, hosting jams. And so in 2022, our Fern Burn Club is what it's called, had the opportunity to lead the effigy show. And we put on an epic show that faced some challenges, but it was quite impressive. And then my current pattern is to take on the effigy leadership every other year, and that helps me to prevent from burning out. And it also helps make the role a little more accessible to others. So then it doesn't just become, oh, that's what Jax does. It's like, no, no, no. What can we do? What do you want to bring to the table? Ed McDonald was our previous RC, and they were in the position of bringing on new RCs. And he sent me a message because I'm very like active in the community. I'm a art organizer and an event producer and all this kind of stuff. He thought that I would probably be a good representative of the community. And I felt all kinds of like, me? You think I could do it? And then I did. Yeah. So I've been in RC with Adam now for, has it been a year?
It's
Or
been a year, yeah.
it's
All
me.
right, Adam, let's hear from you.
I did it backwards. So my story of getting into the whole Burning Man culture was I was super depressed at work one day. My boss comes up to me and is like, look, you need to get out of this funk. I'm going to take you to a place called Burning Man, and you're going to resolve all your problems, and it's going to be cathartic, and you're going to go and be naked in the desert. And I'm looking at my new boss going, I don't know about this with this guy. But I took a leap of faith, and I went down to Burning Man, and by day 3, I was trying to volunteer at the coffee shop in Center Camp because I heard that they, needed some volunteers because I couldn't get my coffee quick enough. The line was way too long. So I'm like, well, I'll volunteer. I'll be part of the problem. After that, I got into the DMV intake in 2016 and been working with the DMV ever since. Got onto the DMV council about 2 years ago. And I've been working with placement and things like that and kind of working behind the scenes in some of the culture change and stuff as well at Burning Man and kind of just, figuring it all out. And then I decided, hey, I should probably actually go to that regional burn that I keep missing. And I started the DMV at Otherworld. And then I realized that there was more to that event that could use my touch. So I looked into some stuff, started helping out, and then same as Jax, got reached out to by a previous RC and said, you have a lot of knowledge in this. I think you could really help us out in aligning us better with Burning Man and Burning Man Actual. And so I met up with Jax, and we're two very different people who I think really take the community seriously in our own sort of ways and really work well together because of our different ways of looking at things. So, yeah.
I have some reflections on, I think, why we work really well together. I am deeply situated in Victoria, where most of our community lives. I'm connected to lots of things, whereas Adam, he's further away from us. He's on Galliano. But what he has is way more information about Burning Man Actual in the desert, that thing in the desert. And so he has a lot more experience there. So between us, if you have a question, we have perspectives on how the thing is running. I definitely have extrovert party organizer energy. Adam's very good at spreadsheets and reports. And so between us, we are the perfect RC.
Well, I have a bunch of questions now based on all the individual things that you do. Both of you wear so many hats. Hey, Adam, Zephyr, I want to know more about DMV at Otherworld. Because in my experience, mutant vehicles tend to be kind of on the chunky side. How do you get them over there? Do they live? Do you have people making them on the island and driving them to the event, or you have to ferry them over? Or where do they come from?
Most of the vehicles are small. Most of them are golf carts that are covered in cereal boxes and LED lights. There are a few more larger vehicles from Vancouver area, from the mainland, where they can travel across Canada or from Seattle that do come up from time to time, which are always great to have a regular Black Rock City vehicle. It's always nice to see one of my Otherworld stickers on there where I'm slapping a DMV sticker on it as well. And they go, oh, I put that one on there. It's a nice feeling for sure. But you're right. You can't bring a 30-foot tall ship with flame effects in a forest. We're also on quite a hill on that site. So it's very, very difficult for us to actually have the mutant vehicles traverse the site unless they are smaller vehicles. Flame effects are pretty much a no-go in the forest, especially in the summertime. Lasers, sorry. There's too many turns and twists and stuff, and you're not going to be sitting too stationary. The ground's not level. All these things that are a bit of a challenge for us there. But there's still a growing culture, a growing community, and people are still into trying to do their best to meet the mutant vehicle criteria, despite the fact that they might have to carve it up and stick it in the back of a van to make it work.
My favorite vehicles are actually with low budget, built on site sorts of things. Okay, but the fire hazard, that's got to be a huge consideration. I hadn't even thought about that. And yet, you have an effigy burn. Tell me about the effigy burn, Jax, which I guess you're the manager of that piece of the pie every other year.
Kind of. So I'm in charge of the fire dancers. I do the effigy fire performance. We have not been able to burn an effigy since 2022, which is really hard. And it's a huge part of our culture that we don't really get to participate in anymore, which is difficult, but it also presents opportunities like, okay, well, what else are we going to do? For example, Vancouver's regional, they were called Burn in the Forest. That was the name of their event. But they had to rename their group and their event because they were running into issues with venues and insurance and blah, 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 you know? So we no longer burn an effigy. The last year we burned it was 2022 when we did a rocket, and it was crazy. We had the bazooka fire cannons. I think they were called Hello Kitty cannons, and they lit the rocket on fire, and it was overwhelming in the best way. But since we've had to kind of like pivot on how do we deal with an effigy that doesn't burn. Remember last year was a frog because our theme was frog bog because our venue was doing frog habitat rehabilitation. So the whole theme for the event was frog. So the effigy was like a big egg, and then there was some flames, I think that like flame paper that released, and then the whole thing opened like an egg, and then there was a cool frog statue. This year, there's some discussion of like, well, are we going to pull it down with ropes? What are we going to do? So the effigy lead is a separate position from me, and they're in charge of that. We're working on some theatrics that brings out the yang energy of like, burn the man, but then also in a way that isn't on fire and in a way that's easy to like clean up and contain and take off site also.
Well, this year's theme is moist. Is that right? I'm
Yes.
wondering what a moist burn looks like. I'm wondering where the
Right.
theme comes from. It's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. What's your process for developing a theme and agreeing on it? Because especially that last
Fuckery.
part.
Fuckery. Okay, so did you
Okay.
ever hear about the what was it? Bodie McBoatface vote? Did you ever hear that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so the same thing happened to us. We did our first production meeting, and the person leading it was like, we're going to choose a theme right now. So whoever was in the meeting, they did like a vote and they put for, okay, everyone put your ideas forward, and the different ideas go up. And then someone's like, moist. And then all the votes were like, moist.
It's generally immaturity that chooses the theme. It's that inner child that everyone has, and we all get together after not seeing each other for a year, and we're like, giggle, giggle, giggle. Let's make it this word, giggle, giggle. And those words always usually end up winning. And then we
Yeah,
try to just make it work.
yeah.
We had the theme upside down one time, where we're like, okay, what do we do with this? And we just turned all the signs upside down and stuff.
Yeah. I think it was like a continuation of Frog Bog because Frog Bog, we had the most reception to that theme I think we've ever had. People loved it. All the costumes, the music, the art, it was all frog. So I'm pretty sure what they were trying to do is like, well, what's a continuation of this Frog Bog idea? And now, moist.
It was most people were happy because they're like, oh, I can reuse half the stuff from my camp from last year.
That's always a
I
plus.
yeah. I'm
So,
facing a unique, frustrating position of trying to produce a moist fire show, which is difficult.
steam.
Um,
Think about steam.
steam. Yeah, this year we're actually playing a lot with bubbles. Yeah, so I don't want to reveal too much because we're still ahead of the event, but I'm doing my damnedest to bring a wet fire show to Otherworld.
Well, I'm going to keep my eye on that. Um, we, we still, burn a man every year because people insist on it. But uh, I always wondered what would happen if we didn't. How
Right?
could you
And you,
burn without burning? It's like a Zen koan.
it is, yeah. But fortunately, we're a whole bunch of creatives, right? if
Yeah,
anyone
let's
was
talk
going to
about what
solve
that
it.
bunch is. What's that group look like? What's your management structure, governance system? How many people sit around that table and make jokes about moisture?
Our production team itself is around 200 people that are in the various roles, give or take, I believe, if not
That's
more.
crazy.
Yeah. And on the production leads, the people that lead the streams, there's about 13 to 14 of them that are essentially the people that make a decision. So it's a bit of a council that ultimately makes all the decisions for the event at this time, separate from the nonprofit organization that funds the event. So they entrust some producers to produce the event. The producer of comms, for example, would be myself and a few other folks. Then we have a producer of events and core services, health and DPW, that sort of thing. And then they have, their structure underneath them. The governance model that we're currently under is that we're in fully entrusted that we will run the event and we will make it work. And so it's a bunch of competing brains, neuro-spicy people that are all in the room together that all have these inner child ideas and want to make it happen. And we giggle and we take way too long in our meetings sometimes because of all the inside jokes. But at the end of the day, everyone's got the same goal in mind and everyone wants to have a successful event. And that's really what we can get together on and make it happen.
If you've never been shushed in a meeting for having too much fun, you're not doing Burning Man right, as far as
That
I'm concerned.
fair.
There is a nonprofit. Is that Kindle Arts? Is that right?
That is correct.
Their board is fairly hands off about operations, or
So the current board is on their way out, and they've actually expired their time, and so we're actually in the process of looking into elections for a new board. And so part of the process to being hands off is also to allow for that continuation to happen during the board change, and to not have disruption to the event, especially since this is happening so close to event execution.
cool. So, what about the rest of the year? Tell me about the larger year-round fun and games of Victoria's Burning Man community.
One of our goals moving forward is that we want to address the over demand by adding more events. A lot of the other things we do the rest of the year aren't necessarily put on by Kindle, but they're just kind of like community events. So, for example, last year, I took the lead in organizing Burners and Beep Boops, it was called, which was really cute. So, there's an interactive artcade, it's called, in our city. And it's a whole bunch of like fun interactive art machines. And when you press the buttons, they light up and they make different sounds, and it's super fun. And so I organized the equivalent of a Burners and Beers. But instead of being in a restaurant where we have to spend money and we have to drink alcohol and we have to just sit still, it was an opportunity in an all ages event where we could come and we offered grilled cheese and people could play with the art. So we did that a couple of times in the spring before the event. That was a really nice way to introduce people and to also see our friends in a low pressure environment. Other burner events include we have a practice called Gooseballs, which I really appreciate. So, what that is a decentralized bike party. No one person is in charge of Gooseballs. It's just if you feel like we need to have one, then you can call one. And the idea is that if you're organizing it, you have a speaker on the back of your bike and you kind of pick out a route ahead of time. And then we just go and play on our bikes and stop in beautiful locations around our city. So trying to take advantage of as much like decommodified gatherings as we can. And I think outside of that, there is the Fernburn Club, which does fire spinning every Tuesday at the Fernwood Community Center. And in the winter, they rent indoor space so we can keep practicing in the winter. And in the spring, we do lots of fundraisers for all the theme camps. Those could be like in clubs, or sometimes they're in different restaurants or whatever. But I think the theme camp fundraisers are the other big events that get people together.
So, I'm still thinking about fire and events without fire. So, Jax, do you spin fire or do you spin fake fire?
Fire spinning is considered the equivalent of like tiki torches. So it's not quite the same as having like a fire pit or a burn kind of
Open
barrel
flame.
kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So we get a lot more leeway in that.
Okay.
Part of what we have to do is like providing like our safety plans. We have like safety coordinators for that are the higher end producers. But yeah, we are allowed to fire spin, which is amazing.
I know that you have an interest in safety, Zephyr. Yeah, having been a Black Rock Ranger in Black Rock City and also a ranger at Otherworld, what's that like? What are the situations that you get into at Otherworld? Are they kind of the same random, unpredictable situations that a ranger would walk into anywhere, or
You think
is it more
actually
chill?
you would be more chill, but for example, last year we're getting temperatures that are Black Rock City temperatures at some point there up to 40 Celsius. And so, yeah, we had a lot of heat exhaustion, a lot of the same scenarios where people are just, not quite prepared for that. And it was actually one of the first hotter weekends of the year that year. So kind of caught everyone by surprise. Wandering around, a lot calmer, a lot more of a chiller vibe for sure. But there's always those unexpected things, right? We're running lots of sound stages. There's lots of folks that are going to be irritated staying up for a few days, and it's all about taking care of your community, taking care of your people, and of course, being a closer community, you're going to know someone who knows someone, and so there's also a little bit of taking care of your friends, so to speak, where Black Rock City almost feels like taking care of a stranger. Yeah,
Stranger who's maybe not going to be a stranger for long.
right, of course.
Do you want to talk about being comms lead, Adam? Do you want to talk about that or no?
It's been an interesting year for comms.
It's a crazy, bless
Yeah.
you, Adam. God bless, Jesus.
Yeah.
Adam, you and I both have at least one foot in the communications team. I'm curious what that has been like for you.
Well, radically different than Black Rock City, I can assure you that. We've recognized that a lot of folks are not interested in being beholden to the social media to be able to get their information. And because of that, we've had to kind of correct course around that and start to only give out email communications and official communications on the website and stuff like that, and start to say, no, the information is not on the Facebook page where the rest of that toxicity is. It's actually here. This is where the true source of information is. And it's been difficult along the way to actually get that going and to get a proper communication channel working. It's going to really gratefully help us to kind of start to move away from that and start to have that radical self-reliance of folks going to the website and looking up the information themselves instead of just going, how do I get a ticket on the Facebook post? And then snarkery ensues. We hope to learn more from some other regionals and kind of how to navigate that.
Well, we're all learning it all the time as people's, communications habits change, their social media habits change. Yeah, that mix of media is certainly an interesting challenge that you have to constantly reevaluate or get left behind.
For comms, it's about setting those expectations as well. One of those things that you kind of alluded to before was having those people that are not acculturated with Burning Man culture and finding a mechanism to be able to do that. Luckily, a lot of folks are coming with their theme camps or part of a production, so they're going to have a mentor or someone nearby that goes, hey, pick that up off the ground, you mooper, or wear some lights, you darkwad, as we do in our snarkery ways to try to, help people with our heart, with our words sometimes. The acculturation, I think, because we've had that rapid growth, it's been very interesting to see folks, for example, come from those rave communities and then make those adjustments on the fly, and then come back next year and go, I'm going to do it better. Some of the people where I camped next to, I said, oh, I don't want to camp next to those folks again. They don't get it. They're from out of town. They don't understand Burning Man culture. Next year, camp next to the same people. Wonderful camp. They totally got it. They were all wearing matching, what was it, Hulk Hogan stuff? I forget what it was. Everything was in theme the whole time, and just like, oh, they get it now, right? And so sometimes it's just about, giving people that room to grow and that opportunity to learn about the culture, and not pick on them all the time, because we can sometimes jump right down people and go, oh, you're not doing it right. And, sometimes we have to guide people to do it right, lead by example, be the bigger camp, do the funny thing, go over to them and, squawk a rubber chicken or something and then hand it to them and say, this is your gift and walk away. because, that's the kind of acculturation that you're going to get when that guy's holding a rubber chicken in the middle of the road going, what the heck? And then, later on using that rubber chicken as a gag. And before you know it, that rubber chicken is now part of their life. And you've just turned them into a burner over a rubber chicken that you handed them in the road.
It's become a sacred relic of their camp.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We're getting very close to Otherworld 2026, right? It's coming up. I'm really glad that you were able to join me. I'm sure you're super busy right now. I just want to know if there's anything in particular you are looking forward to for this year.
Each of our standard camps that are legacy camps are taking the year off, which is, I think, really important because all of us are volunteers. And these are camps that have been going consistently for years. So I think a lot of those big camps that we expect to see all the time are not going to be there. It's going to open up the range for all new camps and new experiences, which will be fun because otherwise you just get into the habit of going to the same, oh, I'm going to go this on this day and I'll know what's going to happen at this, whatever. So I think there'll be a lot of novelty with that. I'm also looking forward to a lot of those people who are normally core crew and are deep in the spreadsheets. All of a sudden, they get to just enjoy the event in a different kind of way. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how our community comes together, how we overcome some of these challenges, and what kind of imperfect art we produce.
Totally. Yeah. For me, it's about going there and being proud of what's happened, making it all worth it. The hundreds of hours that we spend outside of the event, all the way up leading to the event, and all the, like Jax mentioned, the uncertainty about ticketing and softwares and things like that are happening. Are we going to be able to burn? Are we not? Most likely not, right? It's just one of those things where we just have to roll with the punches all the time. And at the end of the day, you have to tell yourself, this is good enough. What we've produced is good enough. And you have that moment, a little tear goes down your face and you go, I'm happy we did it. And we've completed it despite that fact that X, Y, Z happened and it didn't happen the way that we wanted it to. But we learned a lesson along the way and it'll be better next year.
Next year was always better. That's
Always
what
better.
I heard. Okay, I'm going to wrap with a question that I like to ask all of my guests. Anybody who's spent as many hours as you have putting together a Burning Man event, I just got to zoom out and ask the big why. How does this make the world a better place? How does it make individuals' lives better to have this kind of an experience or to be a part of this culture?
For myself, it's about, you're not going to be able to affect everyone, but there's going to be somebody that you do affect that's going to have a positive butterfly effect. What are those tech bros that it's out there that goes, yeah, I'm going to come to this rave in the forest because my friend said so. And then, of course, when they do, they realize, oh, it's a Burning Man event, and oh, there's rules and culture around it. And they sit down and they talk to some people, and I hope that they can take some of that home with them. And if we could just affect 1% of the people that come, I think that we could make a change in the world. To take some of those civic responsibilities and the communal effort, take some of that home with them and apply it to the way that they're doing business or the way that they are at home.
I think my answer dovetails into also what I'm looking forward to and why I think it's important. This year, for the first time, my parents are coming. And my parents are medieval reenactors in their own life.
Awesome.
So they've been doing large-scale camp-out events my whole life. And they're very similar in that, you only see your friends in a field on the weekend, But mine involves a lot more bass music and a lot more LEDs and lasers, so it's different.
And less chainmail, especially
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
40.
Well, different chainmail, I would argue.
Scantily clad chainmail, yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I'm excited about this year is for my dad to do medieval sword foam play. So he's
fun.
going to have foam swords and he's going to share his love of sword fighting with the community. And the reason why I would love them to participate in this is because I think Otherworld and burner events give us an opportunity to realize and to practice that we can do culture differently. We can do events differently. Not everything has to be bought and sold. we can volunteer together. We can create decommodified spaces together. We can create radical areas of expression. And it's always fun to kind of bring my parents who have very little kind of like performative art experience and to show them, like, show this world to them. But the other thing I like to do is bring some of my rave friends. And rave friends are generally used to just kind of being consumers. You pay a lot of money and then you consume the festival. And so it's really radical to show them this world where it's like, no, 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 you have to be a participant. We're all volunteering. What are you going to contribute? And I think that gives a sense of ownership and a little more like belonging because we're participating and creating together. So I do it because I believe in humans. I believe that we can do culture differently. And regional burns and Otherworld and Burning Man specifically are real life containers where we get to live out these philosophies in real life that we often just get to like hypothesize about. So that is really important to me.
Solid answer.
Terrific.
We're excited for Otherworld. We're excited for what's coming, and we're excited for the changes that are going to eventually come for us. And like I said, more events, bring the decompression back and that sort of thing, and kind of branch out a little bit. One of the things we were talking about was the ability to not burn anymore, or to not be able to have an effigy burn. Maybe we look at a winter burn or a fall burn where we could burn an effigy and allow the people that are more interested in effigy and temple burns to actually have that cathartic release.
All right, thanks. My guests have been Jax Creatrix, Jacqueline Cattell, and Zephyr, Adam Jameson. Thank you so much for coming on the program, both of you.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Good luck with this year's Otherworld, and I hope it's fantastic, and a lot of people have an incredible time.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Stuart.
Yay, this is fun.
Vav, what do we leave out?
Let's see. Doing culture differently. Volunteering. Creating ownership. Bubbles instead of burning. Novelty instead of burnout. Nothing was left out.
Okay.
Burning Man Live is our labor of love from the Philosophical Center of Burning Man Project, the public benefit 501c3. If you would like to pay it forward, donate.burningman.org. Thanks to Jax, Zephyr, and all the people at Otherworld. Check out the photos, it's amazing. Thanks to our team here, Andy Grace, DJ Toil, K-Bot, Martine, Michael Vav, that's me, Stuart Mangrum, the regionals people, and in this 40th Burning Man season, thanks, Larry, for starting all of this.